So our final session of the afternoon, customizing Adept. So please join me in welcoming back Charlie Smith. Charlie has headed up the quality assurance team at Synergis Software. Now he's heading up custom programming. There you go, Bob.
Thanks. I'm going to just use tabs. Let's see. All right. So, as Scott alluded to, I've been working for Synergis since 2000. Actually, March is my anniversary month. And when I first started off at Synergis, I was help desk support, testing. I used to build the installer, and I used to ship the installer. Those are all distinct departments now within our company. So we've really come a long way in the 17 years that I've been working for Synergis. I really enjoy hikes in nature. I love being outside, eating healthy foods, working out, reading cool books about anything but development. In my personal time, I actually spend about half of my vacation time each year supporting mature men's growth in a special group that I'm involved with. So custom programming. How many folks out here already have some customization for their Adept desktop in some way, right? We've got a few of you, right? So to be really specific, right now, custom programming is limited just to the desktop. And as Todd alluded to earlier, in the future, it might just be possible to have custom applications for our web as well as it continues to grow. So some of the custom applications that we have produced for people over the years. This is my first year in this department, so a lot of this stuff was done before I came to the department. But our customers have really enjoyed being able to leverage our API so that we can produce something that does what Adept doesn't already do. For instance, reporting. How many folks are familiar with the admin reports inside Adept? There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of detail and a lot of information there. Oftentimes that information, it's not presented in the way that our clients really want to see it. And so what we can do is pull the metadata from the different areas of Adept and produce a formatted report for you. Perhaps you want an analysis of your product usage because you want to make sure that you have the right licenses for the right people, something like that. Maybe an analysis of documents in the system. How many documents were final approved this week? How many new documents were created this week and entered into the system? Really, it's endless, the number of things that we can do for you. Data validation is becoming more and more popular. Of course, everyone wants to make sure, look, if you're going to take the time to enter data into your system, don't you want to make sure that the data is correct, that it's formatted correctly? It can be as simple as, we have really stringent rules around our naming of our documents. So as soon as you click the check-in button in Adept, we can do a quick check and make sure that that file name is exactly to your standard. Other more complex systems, as a gentleman alluded to earlier, bringing documents into Adept. We could actually have a SharePoint portal that we point to and that we're watching, and when documents land in that portal, a service could pick it up and examine it and compare the metadata that's in the document to the standards that you have in your system. If it doesn't match, well, you can get a rejection and say, hey, try again. Make sure this particular metadata matches before you submit this document. Workflow enhancements. So our workflow is pretty intense. And actually, the workflow that you see today in our product began as a custom application. Someone said, we really want to move our documents. A long time ago, we only had a one-step workflow. It went on hold, and then after being on hold, it went right into the library when somebody approved it. But now we've got the ability to potentially modify the workflow enhancement or the standard workflow and bring you additional features. We do have an out-of-the-box plugin that allows you to auto-name your documents. And believe it or not, it's really flexible. It has a lot of different segments that you can create for your file name format. And once again, maybe it doesn't do everything that you want it to do. So we can tweak that and make it do what you want. We recently did an integration for a company that has an SAP system. And what they do is the SAP system can spit out an XML file with a bunch of data in it. And then we can use some form of a service to watch for those XML files to land there. It can pick them up and automatically import that data from the XMLs directly into the library card to go along with the document as it enters into Adept. There have been some additional CAD packages. Anybody out there using a CAD package right now that we don't currently have an integration for? Anybody? What would that be? CATIA, okay. We've heard that one before. What else? Revit, okay, that's been a popular one as well. We also recently had a request for, I think it was Rhino 3D. So we can develop additional integrations for CAD packages as well. You know, in Adept standard, what's the one way that you guys, if a document's in the library, what's the one way that you could actually reserve that document? Assign it. Very simple, right? That's a very simple document reservation system. So if you assign that document to a particular user, that user then gets an email and is notified that document's ready and potentially on reserve for them when they're ready to check it out. We have developed document reservation systems which are more complex so that any number of ways that you want your documents to be reserved so that users are ready, so that documents are ready if somebody's working on a current project and they can't get to it, and you don't want that document to get lost in the shuffle somewhere. You can reserve that document. It can notify them and send them notifications. Hey, your document's been waiting for 20 days. What are you doing? Any number of possibilities. And then we also recently finished off a document review notification system. This is really cool. How many folks have documents which need to be reviewed on a regular basis based on regulations and things like that? Okay? Of course you do, Don. So we have a system where we can set a lead time. So let's say if you know that your document needs to be reviewed every year, and you know that it's going to take you about 30 days to get through the review of that document, you can start getting notifications. Hey, your document's ready for review, and it's due in 29 days. It's due in 28 days. You better get on it. So then they can check it out, send it through the workflow process, and make sure that you're adhering to your regulations. Other functional support, you can distribute documents based on specific rules that you have. Some folks are bringing in documents to their system from multiple different vendors, and maybe they want to make sure that the document goes to a specific library that that vendor actually has access to. So, you know, we can distribute documents. Then there's some bill of materials enhancements. As you know, the one that we have in our current system is, you know, pretty plain Jane, but it does suffice for a lot of people. But we could actually enhance bill of materials as well. Anybody else have any that you want to mention? Any cool CPs? What do you got?
You can reply to an Outlook email and attach an in-status document from Adept.
Okay, sure. Anything, really, anything you want to get done that Adept doesn't do, give me a call. We'll have a conversation, and we'll see what we can do for you. And how do we get it done? The overview of the process here: discovery and analysis, design and specification, code, test and document, implement, configure, and then go live. So discovery and design, this is when we get to know each other. We meet, we have an interview, we talk about all the things that you want this particular application to do. It can take, depending on how complex it is, it can take just a couple of hours. And in some cases, I've spent days on site working with a company to make sure that we're getting all the requirements in a rather complex system. We will develop diagrams to show you exactly how the technology is going to work once it's in place, and other diagrams which will demonstrate the overall flow of exactly how you want to have your process work, or whatever the situation is for you. Once we've gathered all that information, the next step is to write the specification. And this is the challenging part for me. I have to make it detailed enough that the developers can understand exactly what's expected, and I also have to make it at a level where you, the customer, can also understand exactly what you're agreeing to. This specification, usually we take those diagrams and flowcharts that we talked about during discovery and specification, which might be on a napkin or on a whiteboard or something, and we make really clear Visio diagrams for you so you understand exactly what you're agreeing to. The specification document serves for you to understand it, for the developer to develop it, as well as for the tester to verify that it does everything it's supposed to do and that it doesn't do the things that it's not supposed to do. And once we have that agreed upon, we get into the code and testing and documentation for it. This is where the spec becomes a reality. Depending on the size of the application that we're creating, we could do daily iterations and produce something day after day, test it, validate it, and make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And of course, along the way, we find defects and bugs. You guys have never found any of those in the field, right? So once all those defects are identified and fixed, then we deliver it to you. And if you want, we can implement it for you as well. Just talk to your salesperson. And then you go through your internal processes to make sure it's doing everything that you want it to do. And once you've agreed, you can go live with it. And I guess I jumped ahead there a little bit. But once it's delivered to you, a lot of folks have sandbox environments these days. Not everyone does, but it's really important. If you're going to put something in production, you don't want to have issues come up. So they put it in a sandbox environment and make sure it does everything that it needs to do, validate the functionality, ensure stability, maybe performance. And then sometimes something comes up that the environment for the client is different in such a way that we didn't encounter during our testing. And so we fix something and ship out another iteration and make sure you have what you need. And once you've validated that it's all good to go, that's when you get to go live. So not only do we produce custom programs, but also we have clients who actually employ developers themselves. And so, gosh, if you really want to get it done, we have a software developers kit, which exposes all of the API endpoints. APIs are application programming interface. So these are the very same application interface endpoints that we use internally to develop the CP. They're the very same ones that you would use. And so sometimes a little bit of consultation from our internal developers can help you really leverage those and make sure you're using them in the appropriate way. C++ and C# are the main programming languages that our desktop is compatible with. And as I had mentioned before, right now, all the customizations that we're doing are in our desktop client, either as services or desktop plugins. And in some cases, we actually take a plugin that we currently have and maybe make a couple of modifications to that and give you a special version of that. But the new web API in the future will bring potentially a new approach for that and a different way of approaching our API. And then a little later this conference, there's a talk about the Adept integrator. And so that's also a piece of the puzzle here to help integrate systems. And in some cases, we may need to enhance Adept's APIs in order to do everything that you folks want to have happen with the Adept integrator. So in terms of custom programming, it's really important to consider maintenance. So each custom program that we ship, we go ahead and quote you the annual custom programming maintenance. And what that does is that it ensures that as we continue to improve our core product year over year and release over release, that the changes that happen in the core product, that the custom program is up to date and functions properly. So that's included with the cost of that. We'll actually do the testing, we'll upgrade it for you, we'll do the testing, we'll validate it against the new version that's coming, and then when the ACs come out to do the implementation, you have your new plugin ready to go with the new release. And amazingly enough, all this hard work is done by a really cool team of people that I've come to know and love. Sean Swope is a senior programmer. He has been doing custom programs and data migrations with Synergis for maybe probably 15 years now. Yeah. Russ Reese has joined the team maybe in the last 3 years or so, and he's turning out to be a real detail-oriented programmer, bringing a lot of value to the team. Rashmi Chinawar is our quality assurance tester. She does the documentation because each time we ship a custom program, we want to make sure that you know how to install it and implement it and then how to use it as well. So she helps produce that. And then Robert Hale, he's an implementation expert. He used to be an application consultant like the other folks, and he is dabbling in learning developing now himself as well. So we've got a really good team there with me at the helm, coordinating efforts, communicating with clients, taking requests, and doing interviews and everything. So that's our team. At this point, if you guys have any questions or anything, I could take those. In conjunction with, I will say. So we do it as we're moving forward. So for instance, we don't immediately upgrade every single CP that we have for every single major release of Adept because we don't know if our clients, some people are early adapters, and as soon as there's a new release, they're going to upgrade. But in terms of, we make sure that for whatever version you're going to upgrade to, that it is compatible with that. That answer your question?
Yes or no?
Okay.
In my case, I'm running 2017 with the customized program. You're talking about releasing 2018.
Right.
If that comes out the end of the first quarter of next year, am I assured that my program will work with that at that time, or do I stop having the use of that custom program until later in the game?
So really it's a coordination effort with your account manager. And once your account manager understands that you're going to be upgrading to 2018, we will take the 2018 product, we will take your current 2017 CP, we'll upgrade it, and we'll refactor it and make sure that it works with the new database schema that's coming for 2018. And then once it ships, along with your upgrade, and then you're ready to go.
Actually, I'm going to add just a little.
Go ahead.
So we've actually started a process with upgrades for our customers now, where before you are about to undertake an upgrade, we want to meet with you. We'd like to do a planning session where we get together for a half hour, an hour, and we lay out, okay, here's the new hardware requirements. Have you looked at all these? By the way, did you know you've got 3 CPs? We'll get those on the schedule, and we'll get that lined up for when are you going to try to update again? On the 18th? Okay, we'll try to line it up for that. So we really try to be as coordinated as possible and proactive. In the past, I think we kind of left it up to you guys to download when you were ready and install when you were ready. We want to be part of that planning process now. Hope that helps.
Yep. Cool. Anybody else? Anything else? All right. Want me to hit the next?
Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome.